Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Crystal and today we're going to be talking about some feel-good romantic books. So this video is basically some books that I put together that are really like happy, feel-good, just sort of like a comfort read that like you would want to read when maybe you're kind of down or feeling a bad day, or you just wanted something really happy and fun that wasn't going to be too dark or sad. So let's get right into it. So the first book I have on my list is Well Met by Jen DeLuca. This book came out last year and the sequel just recently came out. I haven't read it yet, but I read this last year and absolutely loved it. This book is definitely sort of a romantic comedy, and it's so fun and so happy. So this book follows Emily, who just moved to a small town so she could help her sister recover from an accident that she was in. She has a teenage daughter, and Emily's sister. Emily's sister has a teenage daughter. The teenage daughter really wants to be part of this Renaissance fair for the summer, but the only way that she can take part in that is if she has an adult volunteer with her. And so since her sister was in an accident and can't really walk around, then it's Emily's job to help at the Ren Fair so that her niece can do what she's wanted to do for so long. When she gets to the Ren Fair, she meets Simon, who is in charge of it, and she and Simon both sort of have this instant animosity towards each other. He's kind of a jerk to her right in the beginning, especially because he thinks she's not taking the Renaissance Fair seriously, like this is a really big deal to him, and they just sort of butt heads and have a lot of tension throughout their first meeting, and she kind of hates him and thinks he's a big jerk. So it's interesting to see that once they get all dressed up in their costumes for the Renaissance Fair and they have their characters, Simon has sort of, I can't remember if it's like almost like a pirate type of costume, and Emily is like a tavern wench, and they have this character that they play at the Renaissance Fair that they have like this romantic relationship. And so when they're in character putting that on, Emily sees Simon really get into that character, and she's kind of starting to feel things for him, and she's trying to separate, is it just his character, or do I actually have feelings for him for real? And it's just so much fun and just a really happy, enjoyable, make you feel good type of book. I loved it. And the next book on my list is From Lukov with Love by Mariana Zapata. This book is one of my favorite romances of all time. I've talked about it in other videos. I love this couple so much, and I love the characters in this. The main character, Jasmine, is super feisty, and her internal dialogue is so fun to read and just almost laugh out loud funny at certain parts. This is a slow burn romance. This is one of Mariana Zapata's most famous books, and this is actually the only book of hers that I've read because they're all very long, and I tend to get intimidated by long books because they take so long to read. But I loved this one. It's so wonderful. I know I've heard Jess from Peace Love Books talk, I think she was the reason I picked this up because she said it gave her really big cutting edge vibes, if you know that 80s figure skating movie. Oh boy, yes, definitely has those vibes. So this follows Jasmine and Ivan Lukov, who are figure skaters, and they're really like at the top of their field, getting ready to go to the Olympics. They're really excellent figure skaters, and they've known each other throughout their lives, from the time they were like teenagers and kids skating throughout the years, and they have, again, that sort of rivalry between them, sort of teasing, hate each other, you know, just a lot of sort of like you would expect, like teenage boy and girl maybe who didn't get along to just kind of really pick and tease at each other all the time. And she kind of hates him, honestly. So an opportunity comes up for Jasmine where she can be paired with Ivan and sort of launch her career forward, and she jumps at it. But they still have that sort of animosity, hate each other kind of vibes, but they're working so closely together, touching, holding, the poses that sparks fly, and it's just wonderful. This is honestly one of my favorite romances of all time. It's so good, and it's so happy, and it's so funny. It's just a great book. And the next book on my list is The Bride Test by Helen Huang. This book is so lovely and so soft and so sweet and so emotional and just really, really happy. So this book is the second in, it's not really a series, like you don't need to read them in order, but it follows like family members. So this is the second one. The first one was The Kiss Quotient. If you didn't like The Kiss Quotient, I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you didn't like it, still try this one because this book was so lovely and so beautiful. So this book follows Kai, who thinks he has no feelings other than like, you know, contentment when he's doing a math problem and figures it out, or irritation at something that somebody does that sort of irritates him that, you know, like isn't in the right order that he wants it to be. He doesn't feel like he has the big emotions like grief or love. He doesn't think he's capable of that. But his family knows that he does have those feelings, or he is capable of those feelings, but his autism means that he processes those feelings differently than others, and so it's hard for him to recognize that. So his mother takes it upon herself to try and find him a bride, because he has been avoiding relationships because of he doesn't feel like he can love. So she takes it upon herself to find him a bride. She travels back to Vietnam, that's where she was from, to find a woman for Kai. And there she meets Esme. Esme is a single mom. She's really kind of struggling, trying to provide for her family and make a better life for her family, and especially her daughter. Family, I mean her daughter and her mom. Especially her daughter. And so when she hears this opportunity to come to America and, you know, eventually bring her mom and daughter here, she agrees, even though she's super nervous. And when she gets there, the subtle, slow relationship between Kai and Esme is just so much fun and so beautiful. And it is sometimes a little bit heart-wrenching because you can see that Esme's really worried about developing these feelings for Kai and him, and she thinks, or he tells her that he's not capable of having those feelings for her. But at the same time, it's very sweet and very almost wholesome. This is also a steamy book, so don't be alarmed at that. But it is really just a wonderful story to watch them both fall in love, and even though they both have these barriers that they're trying to overcome, and it was just happy, wonderful, great book. I loved it. And the next book on my list is Along Came a Duke by Elizabeth Boyle. I just recently read this and I just absolutely loved it. It was very funny, it was very lighthearted, it was very happy and fun. It was almost a little bit like they had these little escapades that they had that they kind of got thrown into, almost like, not really like a sitcom, but it really felt like a movie, like a romantic comedy Regency movie. It was so, so good. So this book follows Tabitha, who is an orphan, but she is also a poor spinster. So she isn't married, she doesn't have any prospects to be married, she has no fortune, she doesn't have a way to really support herself, and so she's living with her uncle and aunt, and they're not really very nice to her. It has kind of Cinderella vibes at that point, that she does all the work, and it's really kind of sad. So something happens where she comes into a really vast fortune, but the condition is she only gets that fortune if she marries this specific man. And she really doesn't want to tie herself down to a passionless marriage, and she especially doesn't want to be married to someone that she doesn't love. But she's also torn with, if I don't marry him, then I'm going to be stuck here with my aunt and uncle forever, and I have no way of overcoming that and building a life of my own. So in comes the Duke of Preston, who meets Tabitha sort of by chance. They really have this connection right from the beginning. A lot of sparks are flying, they have a lot of chemistry, And Preston is, of course, a rake, and he doesn't understand why he has these feelings for someone like Elizabeth, who, you know, is a spinster. Rakes typically don't go after spinsters like that, and it's so interesting to watch him sort of battle with that with himself about, why do I have these feelings for her when she's totally not who I would normally go after? And he's really struck with her rebellious streak and her personality and her looks too. But it's just such a fun story to see him sort of fight with that, and to see her really be drawn to him, but also feeling like, I don't really know what to do in this situation. So Preston takes it upon himself to try and save her from that marriage. And it's just, anyway, antics ensue. It's very fun. It's very cute, very happy. I loved it. It was so good. And the next book on my list is Roomies by Christina Lauren. Now, I could really put several Christina Lauren books on this list, but I feel like books like The Unhoneymooners, which has been talked about so much, is absolutely a feel-good read. And Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating is 100% a feel-good read. But I decided to pick Roomies because I felt like this story had almost like a fairy tale aspect to it, and it was just adorable, and I loved it. So this book is about Holland, who is the niece to her very successful Broadway musical director uncle. She works at his production just as like selling tickets and merchandise, and she really wants to be a writer. That's her career that she wants to have. But on her way to work at the musical, she takes the subway, and she takes this very specific route that goes kind of out of her way so that she can see this street musician Calvin play his music every day. She has a very big crush on him. So one day, Calvin rescues her in the subway from this drunk attacker, but before the police can get there to question him, he runs away before they'll find him. Come to find out, he is in the country illegally, and there's this opening in her uncle's Broadway musical that Holland knows Calvin would be perfect for, but he can't work there unless he's a US citizen, and so they have an arranged marriage, and it's very, very, very fun. Oh, it's so great. Calvin is a really awesome hero. He is so just swoony. And Holland is really a fun character to follow because she has a lot of those, like, she kind of questions herself and her future, but she also has a lot of grit and determination to do what she wants to do. And I just really loved this story. I thought it was very happy, very fun. It's set in Manhattan, so I feel like a lot of those rom-com movies that you like are set in Manhattan, and it was just a good time. I loved it a lot. And the next book on my list is A Nordic King by Karina Halley? I don't know how to say that. So this book is sort of like a modern royal fairy tale almost. Not really a fairy tale, there's no magic in it, but it's a royal love story. And it follows Axel, who is the king, and Aurora, who is the nanny for his children. Axel has just been widowed, and he has been trying to find a nanny to help his children, but he just can't find someone who's the right fit until Aurora comes in, and his daughters instantly love her and want her to be the nanny, but he's definitely not sold on it because of the attraction that he feels for her, among other things, but it's mostly because he's so attracted to her. But because the girls wanted her to be the nanny so much, he relents and he hires her, and they have this gradual relationship build. It is also another hate to love one, but it's just really, really fun and swoony, and I love seeing Axel find happiness again from what happened to his wife, and I really like seeing Aurora find that happiness too. It does have other subplots about their families and their histories, and it's not all just happy times, but the overall feeling of this book is just happy, fun, makes you feel good when you read it. This romance, royal romance love story, it was great. So, these are the books that I would suggest if you're looking for a romantic book that would make you feel good. So let me know what you think about these choices, and if you have any books you'd like to add to this that you find just comforting and fun to read when you're looking for that type of romantic book, let me know below. I'd love to find out. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.